I've been asked to talk to you today about beach renourishment and activities associated with maintaining our beaches and the quality that we always have had here in Southwest Florida, as well as sustaining that. I want to talk to you about beaches in a couple of reference points, and at the end I hope that you have an appreciation for how complex and how diverse and how important this entire activity is. Let's talk about beaches in the context of comparisons. A beach is like an iceberg. You see only about 10% of what really constitutes the beach. There is the upland portion, which is the part we enjoy, but starting at water's edge, you have a platform underneath that upland portion that provides stability and storm protection for that beach through winds and tides and changes that we have associated with storms and so on. And therefore, when you look at beach renourishment, it's my position, you need to look at it in total. You have to look at that which is above the water line and that which I spoke to before, that iceberg bottom that provides the base for that. To do that, there really are several environments. The first environment is that built environment, that environment which constitutes the beaches as we see them. And the difficult part is they change every day. That platform through winds and tides and changes over seasons. The sand constantly is moving laterally and to and from the beach, both underwater and above water. So as you begin to approach a requirement and define that requirement, you usually work off what's called a template, whereby you have an ideal placement of material across a profile of the beach, and then you compare that profile against the current conditions. And that constitutes then the requirement for material in terms of cubic yards of sand and where that sand needs to be placed. From that, what is the next environment is how do you get it there? There's several ways to do it. You can haul it in by land, or you can bring it in from offshore, close to shore through pumper dredge or pumper barge or scows, or just bring it in. And therein lies the issue. What's the most effective way to do it? I look at beach renourishment in the sense that you've got beach renourishment that's going to service the entire template, and you have beach maintenance that may take care of a hot spot or a specific area. The other area of concern is that how do you get it done? You know, there's a limited number of people in the commercial business of doing beach renourishment in offshore operations. There are a lot of haul companies, no question about that. But as far as firms that can bring in heavy equipment to the west coast of Florida, is very expensive and very time consuming to bring the pumps, the barges, the men, and the equipment to do offshore gathering of the sand and bringing it to the template you choose to fill. And there's a lot of competition for that because the windows of opportunity to do beach renourishment are narrow in terms of time because of permitting requirements, which is the last dimension, is that beach renourishment and beach maintenance operations are highly regulated activities. They're regulated by environmental concerns as well as access and other concerns that speak to impact on the environment and the people living in and near those beaches. So given the constraints of what you have as a way of the template of the beach, the means and methods of servicing that template with material, and then working within the construct of the respiratory environment, you have a rather dynamic and complex situation. And at the end of the day, it's the combination, the best combination against those constraints that you use to make your decision about how, when, and how much you're going to provide material to renourish or maintain our beaches here in Southwest Florida. And I would ask that everyone consider all these aspects. There is no one single answer when you look at it. There are a range of options. Do you build big once and then you use that over a period of time? Do you do just in time? I submit to you that both have advantages and both have disadvantages. Not only from the standpoint of its impact on the people that are in and near the beaches, but also the survivability and the viability of those beaches to provide that enjoyment that we all really seek. So I ask that each of us consider all those aspects. Primarily, the fact that what you see is not the entire beach when you think about what needs to be done to stabilize and to really provide that wonderful environment that we seek here in Southwest Florida on our beaches. Earlier I spoke to the idea of beach maintenance versus beach renourishment. Let's talk about what that means in terms of long term. If you renourish the beach and fill the full template, that is the bottom and the top, that upland portion as well as that below water point to where the beach is fully stable, you've done two things. First of all, you've given stability to that beach for the long haul for winds and tides. Secondly, you've also provided some tremendous protection or barrier for storm surge, because you have that template, that mound of sand in that template that will take the energy from those storm surge waves. So that's important. That's a long-term solution with long-term benefits. And typically it will last longer because you've built from the base up instead of alternatively when you do a maintenance operation and you deposit material at the top, the material rolls downhill. And that takes a lot of material. And particularly if that material has been brought in by truck, it's very, very expensive to fully fill that template. So that's the reason I like to distinguish between what is truly a renourishment effort that services the entire template, that will give you from toe to top fill of material for the long haul, vice a maintenance operation which will look at a hot spot. Maybe you got a depression in the upland portion that you want to fill and level. Potentially maybe it's an area of great escarpment and you just want additional material so you can level out that beach for the people and for the turtles that's very important for. That's a great operation, but it's very expensive because you're bringing it in by singular truck, you've got a lot of handling involved, you have access issues, as opposed to bringing it in from the sea on a much larger basis dealing with a true renourishment effort. And it's like patching your roof and replacing your roof to some degree. Looking at how you do things, when you go in for a large renourishment effort, you want to give as much access to long reaches of beach for the contractor to operate, because at each place that he's placing material, he's mobilizing pumps and pipes and equipment to spread out that equipment. Spread out that material, that sand. So you want to give him long reaches. You want to do it over a long expanse. To have an offshore operation jump from spot to spot to spot is going to be very expensive in terms of both time and effort for that contractor to move that equipment that way. And so when you do a beach renourishment, you want to look at the full template and have that material on long reaches instead of individual spots. If you're going to do maintenance, you can't. That's exactly how you do it. You do it on a very, very specific location, very narrow location, very small in scope compared to the entire reach of beach because of the quality of material that you're dealing with and the cost associated with it. So the alternatives of a large reach renourishment project versus a truck haul or smaller project have to be weighed very carefully in terms of both its value, its longevity, and its cost.
Okay.
The effort and the orchestration that a renourishment project requires in terms of both mustering the ability to do it on a public basis in terms of the money, the regulatory environment that you have to, the hurdles and the proofs that you have to show that what you're doing is doing minimum of no harm and actually enhances what's going to be there. And then operationally operating within the context of a contract or a set of expectations for the people adjacent to the beach. It is a tremendous orchestration. There's no simple way to do it, but it's okay because folks are trained and know how to do this, and if they're trusted effectively and led effectively, we usually have very high success with regard to these projects.